Okay.
Since you've got a lot of years to cover.
Yes. So Mike and I have known each other for a long time, maybe 28 years or so. And he actually married Beckwith and I 25 years ago this coming June. So we've had a lot of experience together. And Mike, thanks for helping out tonight and fielding some questions and being a referee, so to speak. So really excited that you're here with us. And so I thought maybe tonight during our hour and a half or so that we're together, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my teaching background, a little bit about where I came from, that type of thing. I'd like to share some stories about TPS with you and what TPS has meant to me through the years. And then we'll conclude the evening with some photographs, okay, that I've put together to share with you. So as Ann said, I don't mind entertaining questions during the talk. So if you want to unmute and ask a question, we can do that, unless it gets to be a rough house type of thing. That I doubt it, but we could do that as well. So, I was born in Ohio and grew up in Springfield, and my mom had a camera all the time. She did an amazing series of pictures when I was very little and growing up and that type of thing. And then about junior high school, I guess she gave me a camera for myself. And I liked pictures. I loved making pictures, but I didn't do anything in high school. I think I was too involved in sports and other things to be on the magazine or the yearbook staff. So it was actually college time when I took my first photography class in Worcester, Ohio. And it was late in the semester. I think we were on semester schedule at that time. And I took a photography class because of that interest that I had through junior high and high school, but just didn't get a chance to study. Well, that was really great, and that really sparked my interest, but it was quite a bit over my head. The class was really about zone system. So those of you that know photography, and know that that's a very complicated process to learn. And I thought, oh my God, I'm never gonna learn this, or I just don't know. This is too much. It's over my head. But man, I knew right away I really loved being in the darkroom, even if I didn't understand what a zone 6 was. Okay, or exposed this for zone 3, that type of thing. I didn't really understand that, but oh my gosh, I really loved being in the darkroom. So I traveled I went to another school in Ohio University. They have a photography program, and continued taking classes with them. And I had a pretty good response from the teachers at that time, and they were encouraging, and they liked the work I was doing. I liked learning more about photography, and so that was a really good thing. I had not really grown up in a household where we went to art museums or galleries and looked at art, that type of thing. So I remember spending a lot of time in the library looking at photography books, trying to broaden my broaden my knowledge about photography. And that was really important to me, okay, to do that, to take that time and to learn. And I was just amazed by a lot of the anthologies that I saw of people's work and the different subject matter, different styles, all of that. It just seemed like an incredible way for visual communications that I really enjoyed. Okay, and so after undergraduate school, I went to the Maine photographic workshops and took a 3-month residency program there. And that was really special. It was during the winter months. And I relearned about winter. I mean, Ohio has a great winter, of course, but Maine was really something else. And I met a lot of good people there that meant a lot to me. Craig Stevens, Richard Procopio, Kenny. There were some really good teachers there, and they asked me to stay on during the summer after the residency program to help as a teaching assistant for the summer workshops. Okay, and that was a time when I think I really began to kind of understand and appreciate good quality teaching. Okay. Craig and Richard and all those people I worked with, and I got to assist Arnold Newman and other people. It was just a great environment to meet people, to watch, to learn, to ask questions. And I think maybe it's kind of there that I really thought maybe I'd like to go on to further my education with a master's degree so that I could teach. I had a lot of support from those three people I just mentioned, and ended up back in Ohio a year after my undergraduate studies and completed the master's program there. So that's kind of the background of my teaching. Yes?
So where, I know one of the bodies of work you want to share with us is something called the Beacon School Portraits.
Yes.
And where does that fall into the timeline you just gave us?
I was a junior in college, so it was like my second year of studying photography. And I was looking for a job. My neighbor taught at Beacon School, and she told me that they needed some bus drivers to pick up the kids and to bring them to school. And it was a school for, at that time, it was called Trainable Mentally Retarded Kids. Okay, and there's also a sheltered workshop. And so I applied for the job and got it. And as it turned out, it was a really special event. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm showing those pictures. But that was during the junior year. And that was another really important point for me, because when I was doing that work, the teachers were really excited for me. And I could feel that, you know, as a student, as someone learning, you know, to have that kind of intense conversation about, you know, this is really something pretty good. And, you know, I want you to think about this type of approach when you're doing your portraits, or can you move away from doing portraits at the sheltered workshop and maybe do some at home? You know, and we made a journal together, and I'd give the book to the teacher, and the teacher would write in the journal and then give it back to me, and I would absorb things like that from them. But it felt really great to have that kind of feedback from the teacher. It was very encouraging, okay, very stimulating. And again, you know, that maybe relates to my experiences in Maine about the importance of quality teaching, okay, being a really good teacher.
So, Anne, how much trouble is it for us to look at some of these early portraits and then sort of go back and forth as we get the chronology and the background and history?
Okay. Okay. Yes, we could do that. I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Think.
I'm thinking about
let me unmute myself. So yeah, if you want to do it that way, Steve, and so you're going to share your screen. Is that how that's?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, is that okay with you, Steve? Will that throw you off, or?
No, I think yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay, and Mike, if you're, I'm going to pipe up here, Mike. If you'll mute yourself when you're not talking, because the screen wants to go back and forth to you. The screen shifts to sound, although now we'll be seeing the PowerPoint, but just FYI. And I'm going to mute myself.
So let me know when you allow me to share the screen. Ann, I think you're muted too.
Well, okay.
It's the green.
No, I
share.
know, but then it's opening a thing that I don't know what it's asking me. Desktop 1, 2. I don't want to share on my other
Share
screen.
with participants. Do you see that?
Nope, nope, nope. It's not. Let me see. Nope. Hang on.
Anybody have a resolve for this to help Ann through that?
Okay, well, I mean, I've clicked on what I'm seeing is the, I click on the share and it gives me this basic advanced files. It's not giving me what I saw the last time we did this. That's the problem. And when I do the advanced share, so one participant can share at a time, multiple participants can share simultaneously. That's what's clicked right now.
But doesn't Steve need to click that green button on his screen?
Oh, now I got it, Ann. That came through.
Did it?
Okay. Yeah, I have it now.
Great.
Okay.
Phew.
That's all right. Okay. There we go. Does everybody see this Beacon School portraits?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, this is 1973, 1974 that these portraits were made, and my association with driving the school bus for Beacon School. This is about the number of students that I would have on the bus, maybe a couple more at any one time. And we were in the foothills. This is in Athens, Ohio. Okay, so we're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and very rural, you know, poor, pretty typical Appalachia. Okay, and this is a little bit of the artwork that families and the students would give me through the times that we were photographing. So, oh yeah, sorry. Okay, and you know, I'd get notes like this, and maybe this next example, here's some more artwork. Okay. Like, how much will you make another picture for? I thank you, Eileen Sanders. So, you know, this kind of, all this happened at a time when, you know, I was learning a little bit about the history of photography and important photographers that influenced me and made me alert and crafty in some ways. Okay, with the work and approach that I did. The series of pictures were all made with either a medium format or a 4x5 view camera, and they were made around the sheltered workshop on the campus of the school grounds. Okay, and then some of them, some of these were made with the 4x5 camera at their home. Okay, this was Wayne, and I don't remember all the kids' names. Julie. But I think I wasn't sure what, you know, I had not really ever been around special needs kids before. And it was a really beautiful experience for me because I got to spend a lot of time with the kids. And, you know, some of the things that I learned about how to laugh and love from the kids, and the stories that they would tell me, and things that they would share with me. It was a great experience. And the families really loved the pictures, and the people at the school loved them also. Okay, so really very different time then than now. This might be really difficult to do something like this and have access to so many. Bobby. Vicky, this was at their home. Bobby, another Bobby. So it was an opportunity to, spend more time with the families and the kids that were on the school bus with me. And so we'd go maybe have lunch or coffee and sit and talk a while and make some photos and maybe have some more coffee, that type of thing. And I hadn't really done a whole lot of social things like that before. But this was a really important time for me, I think. And I'm still very, very proud of this body of work.
Steve, may I ask a question?
Yes.
What sort of legal issues did you bump into photographing these individuals?
Yeah, actually none at all. As I mentioned, it was a very different time. This was 1973, 1974. And, that just wasn't really much of an issue. Now, the director at the school, just kind of asked, well, why do you want to do this? I'm a photography major. I needed a job. I wanted to work for Beacon School because of my friend, a neighbor, and the stories that I'd heard about the school and the experiences there. And so he just wanted to know how I'm going to use the photographs, how I would use those photos. And I told him, well, I'll do this, and I'll make a set for the school, and I'll make sure that the parents have a set of the pictures as well. And that was it. That's all it was. So I think it'd be very, very different now. Okay.
Steve, when we were discussing this the other day, I recall you referencing the reaction you got from your mentors and teachers and professors, and how it was different than the feedback you'd had before this time, and sort of what it encouraged you to do.
Yeah. So I think this was one of the first times where the teachers were really, really excited about this body of work that I was doing. And, maybe before that, the first year into the second year, that type of thing, we doing school assignments, okay, like photograph light, or do an architectural shot, or do things like this. And one of those things I think evolved with this particular body of work that I eventually grew to understand was that this was the first time I was doing a series of photographs for myself. Okay, this is something I wanted to do, and it was something that I was around every single day, Monday through Friday. Okay, and so I was with the kids twice a day, and then the time that I would spend at the sheltered workshop or on the campus. This is in the gymnasium of the school. Okay, and this is from the bus. I was actually standing in the steps of the bus shooting she and her mother, at the school. Okay. So I think there's something that happens when you are beginning to photograph things that are important to yourself, as opposed to being told what to photograph. That's a little tricky being a teacher, of course, because there's certain steps that we have to go through, but there sure seems to be a giant leap that happens when we start to do something that we really care about.
Also, in this work, it seems to me you've got a fairly heavy use of framing the subjects with background or objects. So you said you were looking at books and images from different photographers. Who were you paying attention to at this time?
Yeah, Walker Evans was a huge influence on my work, and Diane Arbus, and some Richard Avedon too. But more Arbus, okay, and Walker Evans were probably the two biggest influences on me.
So if we go fast forward now, you've done your work in Maine,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to come back and finish your graduate degree. And what's the step from there to beginning to teach?
During graduate school, I was lucky enough to be a teaching assistant. So there was a stipend involved with that. And so I'm taking classes plus teaching basic classes for some of the faculty members. So that was a great experience too, and the teachers would talk to us about some teaching techniques, not a lot. We weren't, there wasn't like a formal class that we ever did in the master's program about education. It was more about fine arts and photography. And I think that's changed quite a bit now, and probably for the better, okay? But I was teaching during this period of time also. And
so then how do you get from there to West Texas?
okay, so after graduate school, I graduated in June and started teaching in Cleveland, Ohio in July. Taught summer classes in Cleveland at a community college there, Cuyahoga Community College. And so I taught there until 1984. This was 79 when I got my master's degree. 84 was the time that I moved to Texas, got the job here and moved to Texas. And I also taught it part-time at Lakeland Community College out in Mentor. And also I replaced a faculty member on a sabbatical leave at Cleveland State University. Okay, so I was teaching at maybe 3 or 4 different places, and then heard about the job here in Odessa and applied for that, and was lucky enough to get this position, or that position, since I'm retired now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm going to come back. Let's see. Let's stop the share for just a moment and talk just a little bit about some things around teaching that were really, really important to me. Then we'll go back to some photography. I was able to, I've had a really great career here at Odessa College, okay? And I'm actually on campus right now doing the presentation. And the people have been great and really, really supportive through the years for the arts and different things here at the college. And I've been, by and large, like left alone and allowed to do photography with the students and teach them just about any way that I wanted to, okay? Some of that's changing now, okay, in terms of the curriculum, following curriculum needs from the state and that type of thing. But I've had a really good run here at OC. One of the things I'm most proud of is some of the trips that we were able to do with students, taking them out of Odessa, some for the very first time, and allowing them to see some things, okay? I think it was 1989, we went to Houston. The Museum of Fine Arts there had a 150-year celebration of photography, and I got to take the students down to Houston and show them some of the history of photography from the beginnings in 1839, up to contemporary photographers in 1989. So that was a lot of fun. And then I've also had the blessing of taking students to New Mexico since 2021. We've done 17 summer trips to northern New Mexico with students for our landscape class. And that has been, that was just an incredible experience for the students and for faculty members, to get away from Odessa and go into the mountains of northern New Mexico and take our students and get up each day and photograph and go to galleries and museums. We'd visit Georgia O'Keeffe home and Abiquiu and the Plaza Blanca area and photograph during the day, and then work on some things at night, and then just have 4 nights in northern New Mexico, then come back and process the work, and we would make a portfolio, okay, that everyone would share from their best images that they would make during that period of time. So it was always kind of really important for me to get people out of Odessa, okay, a little bit, and have some experiences with the world, okay, other than just right here. So, I got to do a couple of really nice things. I gave a talk at Ellen Noel Museum on the Dust Bowl, and they had an exhibit of FSA photography from the 1930s, the farm security people who documented the plight of American farmers and the city people during the Great Depression. And I got to do a lecture, a talk about that, which is one of my favorite periods of time, and maybe why Walker Evans is one of my favorite photographers as well. So that was great. And then in 2019, I got asked to do to be a guest curator at the Ellen Noel Museum, and we did a show on reflections. We called it Reflections: 180 Years in Photography. And I am, we're kind of lucky that we have a couple of collectors in Midland, and I think they're on the program with us tonight, Jim Getchie and Michael Bonsbach. And between the two of them and Beckwith and I, and some work that came from Texas Tech University, we had a really incredible, beautiful exhibit at the Ellen Noel Museum here in Odessa. We got to give a presentation, had a grand opening, and it was great fun to do that. And there is a YouTube video out there floating somewhere from Odessa College about us doing that project. So I really, really enjoy that a lot too.
So Steve, I know you had, and you told us a little bit about your own early experience with workshops and your work in Maine. And do you feel like that contributed to your interest in sharing that type of teaching environment with your own students?
Oh, yes. Yeah, very definitely. I love kind of short but intense kind of learning situations. And, a 4-day, 5-night, class, as I mentioned, that I took to New Mexico. That was, in a sense, a workshop where we did the work in a short period of time. I think that was really valuable. And then, I remember, working with Arnold Newman and setting up lights and talking about how people are posed and that type of thing. Watching people teach. Okay. And really, at workshops, the people are there because they want to be there. Okay. And I guess you could say, if people take classes in photography, they want to be there, but sometimes the heart isn't there, or there's things that happen, of course. But I really have always loved the intensity of the workshop atmosphere. because you're doing something really intense for kind of a short period of time with some really fascinating people with like interest. Okay. And that's a really good thing, I think.
And
So-
you got some of your own images from some of those, from the workshops in Maine that
Yes.
you were thinking to share with us today.
Yes. Yeah. I could
Yeah.
go back to the, no, I've done platinum and palladium since graduate school, and we had to take one non-silver class, and I had seen some work by Nancy Rexroth, who was at Ohio University at the time, and some of her palladium prints, and the teachers had some other things. So palladium and platinum is what I chose in graduate school to follow. As it turned out, it was what I did my thesis work on as well. And so the process is a hand coating of a fine quality watercolor paper with materials that are light sensitive. And then after the prints are exposed to light, they go through a developer and then a clearing bath, and the salts and the material are washed away off the print, leaving the pure metal, platinum or palladium, as the image on the piece of paper. It's a very archival process, something that's really beautiful. And I've always been taken by the texture and quality of looking at a really well-crafted platinum palladium print. So I'd like to show you some of these let's see. There we go. My class and I did some workshops also, this one at Sul Ross State University. Okay. And, there was a sense of depth to a platinum palladium print. And maybe because it's on watercolor paper and you coat it in and it sinks into the fibers of the paper, there's this kind of illusion of depth. And I tried to make a number of photographs that would show off kind of visual, tricky depth scenes like this granite that was in my hometown. This is the entrance to an office building. I apologize about my voice also. Sorry about that. I did a lot of portrait work as well. Okay. So I kind of learned the technique in graduate school, and shooting with a 5x7 view camera and an 8x10 view camera. And so at the time, the print was the size of the negative that you would make. Okay. So there were some different films that you could make a positive and then another negative for enlarged negatives to make 11x14 or 16x20 prints. Okay. But that was very tricky technically, and very few people did that. Okay. Now with digital, people are making negatives from a digital file printed on an Epson Canon printer, larger, and using that to create their non-silver works. And I think that's fascinating, and I've got more to do with that, okay, as it comes down. So I love taking pictures of people. One of the genres I'm going to show later is portrait work. Okay. And I would like to say too that even though I felt like I had a fairly good grasp on the technical stuff of platinum and palladium work, it wasn't until I went to the main I went back to the main photo workshops to study with Kipton Kumler, and some of you may know his name, and he really turned my head around about platinum palladium printing, and it had to do with the way he would mix his chemicals and prepare them to be coated onto the paper. So this was during graduate school. This is probably 1991, 92. Okay. Back to graduate school. Love that car. I got to drive that during graduate school. That was my uncle's car that he gave me. Okay. This is not Odessa. It might be one of my favorites right here, self-portrait. My dad, 8x10 view camera. And we did this one weekend. One week they were down visiting from Ohio, and we went to Odessa, New Mexico. So we're up in the mountains and taking some photos there at the house we were staying in. And I really.
Do I remember that you have a book of photographs of Marvin, of your dad?
Yes, yes. After mom passed away, dad would come down and stay with Beckwith and I during the winter months. And we did that for about 3 years. And he pretty much decided he wanted to stay with us full time. And so I was able to be around him all the time and made a book of photographs of Marvin over about a 4-year period. And it's a blurb book. It is available at the blurb site if you want to take a look at that. And I'm pretty proud of those things that I made of dad during that period of time.
Well, book, will you show us some more of these prints?
Let's see. Okay, that was of the platinum palladium. Yeah, this is it. So one of the characteristics of I use palladium primarily, and the difference between the two is that the palladium would have a warmer tone to it than platinum. And sometimes we mix the two to get a different kind of color. But this image is very, very typical of what a palladium print would look like. So I'd like to just emphasize maybe that it's a real hands-on process. Okay, so I cut the paper, I mix the chemicals myself, I prepare the chemicals, the 2 or 3 different chemicals depending on which process I'm using, and I put drops of chemicals into a small bowl depending on the print size, okay, and the number of drops, and then mix them around together and pour it on a piece of paper and then brush it across to match the negative size. Okay, so I think I mentioned that the size of the print is the size of the negative. Okay, and I was using 2 formats during graduate school and then through the mid-late 90s of 5x7 and 8x10 view camera negatives. Okay. And I love the process. I love the hands-on, and I really love the look of a platinum palladium print, that delicate 3-dimensional quality. And I want to get back to that with some digital negatives, maybe larger, okay? But digital is what I'm going to explore next, okay? Any questions about the process of platinum or palladium? We do this here at Odessa College, okay? And Gwen Davies, who has replaced me in this position, knows platinum and palladium really well. She loves non-silver and loves darkroom work. So I'm looking to learn from her more as well about non-silver and digital negative making.
So, Steve, I'm aware that a lot of the images that you have after this are work you were doing either while teaching or in addition to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also aware we've got about 40 minutes left and
Okay.
about 90 images. So just to orient us all in time and space.
Mike, we can go long if you want.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to talk about this, for a long time. Listen to Steve. I know that one of the I was thinking, Steve, in terms of chronology, one of the things I've seen develop over a very long time is your photographs of flowers.
Mhm.
And I think that's slide 64.
Mhm. Mhm.
So can you give us some sense about when that was in terms of time, and show us that work?
Yes, let me see.
Oh, and who's this? Who's this model here? This is a New York model on the tree stump?
No, don't think so. This
I
is
see.
from a project I did during the coronavirus, some diptychs. Oh, that's number 64.
Okay, well, I may have it I've got TPS 3. So it's the
Okay.
flowers.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and I have, Mike, I have updated some things since that time.
So Steve, do you want to just go through what you've got here, the chronology you've got in the PowerPoint?
Okay.
Yes, I would agree
Yeah.
with that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, boy, what a challenge it was. March about a couple of years ago. I think it was about spring break, which is just around the corner. Chad Smith and I were down at SBE in Houston together, and all this was just starting to break out across the United States. And then we came back and school was closed. Okay, we did no face-to-face for the second term here at Odessa College, and so all of a sudden I didn't have students around. Okay, and it was a big thing. All of you who are teachers and friends that are out there watching, you know what it was like and what it felt like, and it was such it was kind of devastating. I missed it because I like the interaction that I have with my students. It's really important to me, and then all of a sudden, that is not happening. Okay, that isn't happening, and so I wanted to make some work that kind of showed what I was doing with students, and then all of a sudden I was without these people. So I would go back and recreate a scene that I had been with a student, helping out for an assignment, for example. So I was an oil field worker helping a student make some pictures like this, and then they're gone. And I wanted to put them together as a diptych. Okay, it's kind of the before coronavirus and then afterwards, because our only connection was through Zoom. Okay, a whole new experience, and it's kind of turned out okay, but it was kind of odd to do that for the first time. So here are some diptychs that I created during that period of time. So March, April, and May during that semester, I was shooting mostly by myself, setting up the camera and doing these self-portraits, if you will, that would match with the pictures that were made the first 8 weeks of the semester, or maybe, there were some that were from the fall, a few. Okay. I love making pictures with the students when we're out photographing. This is at the food bank here in Odessa, and it was an architecture class. and we'd been in the back photographing the stacks of food and doing things. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't do that. Working in the lab. Classroom activities. Field trips. Studio setups like this, working with people. And then, just the lab just kind of died, during that period of time. There's nobody around. I wanted to share with you some black and white infrared, another process that I really, really love. And these date back to some to graduate school, but mostly the late 80s, okay, mid-late 80s. And this is the first body of work is all film. And of course, it's no longer made. And so these are from silver gelatin prints that I'm showing you. And I love kind of the surreal quality of black and white infrared and the starkness. And I especially liked what it does to skin tone. And skies will go black, and foliage would often go like a really bright white. And it just created this kind of surreal scene that I really enjoyed. So I got to go to Paris in 1988, and boy, that was a trip trying to take black and white infrared film on airlines, because it could not come out of the plastic gray Kodak container, because the light rays would actually go through the metal protective cassette of the film, So trying to explain, no, you can't open that at a checkpoint, that was really, really tricky. And it wouldn't happen today, it wouldn't happen. But, now we have digital sensors that replicate infrared. But I really enjoyed being able to shoot some infrared in Paris at that time. This is Klaus Oldenburg dedicating his sculpture in Marfa on the Donald Judd residence. Donald is just off of the camera to the left, and boy, what an experience that was when Donald was alive and going down for the parties there at his property. Death Valley. Okay. Right before I was offered a job at Odessa College, I went to an SPE in California, and I flew out and then rented a car and drove back, and I wanted to spend some time in Death Valley and make some photos. This is not Death Valley, this is Odessa, windy Odessa. Lake Shafter, which is up near Andrews, sorry. New Mexico with our students on a field trip. And the VLA in New Mexico. This is with a panorama camera. I did quite a bit of infrared with panoramas. There's an infrared. Now, you may have noticed some of the grain structure in some of these pictures. Okay, it looks really grainy. That is characteristic of 35 millimeter infrared film. And this is 4x5 infrared, a portrait made in the studio. And man, what it did to the skin tone in this picture is just remarkable. And the texture and everything. same way here. 4x5, they stopped making it a long time ago. 4x5 infrared. Capture of a sanitarium Brownie McGee at a bar in Traverse City, Michigan. Bruce and I came across this. I've always been a big fan of the blues, and Bruce introduced me to the blues, and we were out making photographs and traveling a little bit, and this was a complete surprise to stumble upon Sanitarium Brownie McGee, and we loved it. And these last 4 or 5 are made with a digital camera where the sensor has been taken out and replaced with one that will see infrared light and only capture infrared light. So Florida, a couple of shots from Florida. Okay. West Texas, just south of Marfa. And this one, I always loved the kind of quietness of this photo, and did this one on a field trip with students to New Mexico. Okay. So here are the flora pictures that Michael was talking about. And every one of these is made in my own yard, okay, our yard, okay, Beckwith and I's yard. And I kind of wanted to do something where I didn't have to travel, and I could walk out my back door, front door, and make some artwork. And all the flowers are segregated, if you will, like you see in this picture, with backdrops. Okay, so I'll isolate the flower and make the photographs. And I really prefer not pulling the flowers out of the ground and photographing them in a studio, that type of thing. These are all outdoors, available light, and they're also all cell phone. Okay, so this would be an example of a background that I might be using to photograph these 2 garlic blooms. Okay, or this blackboard as a background to photograph wisteria. Okay. And I started this project maybe 2009, maybe, I think. And, you know, as the iPhones got better and better with quality, I really loved the availability of the phone because it was always with me. Okay. And I could make these pictures, and this style that you see in this particular photograph, okay, is the Hipstamatic app. And I really fell in love with this app, and the majority of work that you see here is made with the Hipstamatic app. And that edge, you know, is kind of like a platinum palladium print. If you use brush strokes and different things, or those photographs that were made by Timothy O'Sullivan and some of the great expeditionary photographers in the 1860s and 70s with the glass plates, who would pour the solutions, the emulsion, if you will, on the glass plates, and then tip the plates to coat the plates with the sensitizer, would leave rough edges like this. This was another one of my favorite periods of time for photography. And I just loved how this kind of emulated that process. So I started the project in black and white, and then I eventually moved to photographing in color. Okay. And I'm pretty astounded that you know, I'm able to make some really large prints with the cell phone. And again, all of these are made in my backyard, front yard, side yard, both sides of the yard. portraits might be my favorite subject matter. I love making portraits. You saw a number of portraits in some of the other projects that I've done. And I continue to do this. And I think everything here too is cell phone. Okay. And so, for example, we'll see this picture again, but this is from a play that was being done, and she was sitting backstage waiting to go on, and I captured this portrait. I love the light on her face. Okay, so Martha. In our studio here at school, so a lot of my subjects, students, friends, sometimes I see somebody really interesting, I'll just grab them and say, hey, can I make a picture? I look for a background or someplace to photograph them against. Daniel was one of the designers on Project Runway, and he's been coming to Odessa and working with Odessa Arts on some projects. And this was after one of the jurying sessions that he did. So I like natural light, but if I'm in a opportunity to put light on someone like a softbox or an umbrella, I like doing that. It's a great, easy capture, and I love that quality of light. Okay. Sometimes natural light, like Joey and his mama in their front yard in Andrews. Beckwith with the window light. This was in New Mexico where we stayed.
Steve,
Yes.
We have a question. Do you increase the DPI from the phone image when you migrate the image into Photoshop?
So I will pull the images from the iPhone into Lightroom and sometimes make some adjustments. If you can see some of the issues in this picture right in front of her eye. There are some things there. And let me see if I can go back and see if there's any others. And I'll take some things out, if they seem to distract from the subject. But Mike, are they asking if I add pixels? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have done that with some issues. I have printed up to 16 by 16 size prints on our Epson printer and not add any pixels at all. Okay, and they look fabulous. Now, if I've done a few 40 by 40 prints, and we do add some pixels with that process. But I think as the iPhones and the cell phones, the Samsungs, and all those, they're just going to get better and better. Okay, and quite honestly, the quality is remarkable. Okay. So this was done under lights, and my students and I would always photograph Black History Month and a fashion show that would happen here on campus. And I could not let her pass without photographing. And we had a white background, so some of the male and female models who did the runway with different fashions would come, and my students and I would photograph them. Cited Murata in New Mexico.
And Steve, this is jumping around just a little bit, but if you go back to the prior image, did you tell me you were working on a book, since you have a little bit more time with some of the stuff from New Mexico?
Yes. So where we went and stayed in northern New Mexico was in a little village called La Madera, New Mexico. And I met a man who had a pottery studio there and a bed and breakfast, and did a workshop there with some other people. And I fell in love with Felipe and the place. And that's where we stayed for 17 years when we would go up for our summer landscape class. And Felipe passed away about 4 years ago. And we're working on a book to honor Felipe and his memory and his spirit of his home and studio there in La Madera. So I've collected work from students, other faculty members, and people who have gone with us, and we're close to having a book completed. This is Jimmy, Felipe's brother, at one of the Baradas, okay, that Felipe would often take us to. And so I'm really excited about that. And it's really close. I think we have all the photos, and it's just, I need to add a little bit more writing. New Mexico again, looking over the Chama River Valley. Cell phone in our studio here. He's a musician and wanted a photo for a album.
Steve, we've got another question. So let's say you want to get to a larger print, 17 by 22 is the example given. Do you use an image enhancer? And secondly, do you have a preferred paper?
Okay. Up to 17 by, printing on 17 by 22, I've never used an enhancer that would bring extra pixels into the photo. Okay. Favorite papers. That's a tough one. Our students use Red River paper, and some of their fine art papers are very, very, very good. Okay, I like them a lot. Hahnemühle is a great paper provider. I'm beginning to like matte paper more and more. And I do like some of the Bearta papers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that have a finish that was very similar to the look of a silver gelatin print. Okay, I like those a lot too. Museo also is a great paper. And it just takes some time and practice and looking at different prints. So I'd often make work prints, small prints on different papers, and try to make that judgment before I start to go big, and look at texture and detail, and that type of thing. So those are the papers I like: Red River, Hahnemühle. Are there any others, Beck, with
Moab?
Moab is yes, Moab is a great paper as well, and it's just, it'll take some time for you to decide which one you like best. And sometimes, certain images work better on a matte paper than it might do on a glossy paper. Okay. And
a follow-up question, do you have a preferred paper for printing the infrared images?
I do like the surface papers for printing infrared that have that same quality, that same kind of shine that a really good fiber-based paper in silver printing would give. Okay, so like a Agfa paper or an Ilford silver gelatin paper is one that I would prefer to use for making black and white infrared prints. Okay, so back to the previous question for maybe just a moment, if I could say, that with the work that I'm doing and the application of the shooting with the Hipstamatic app, I don't have the same concerns maybe that a photographer who would like to make something similar to Ansel Adams. Okay, that kind of sharpness. Okay, and so I don't use an image enhancer on images that go up to 16 by 16 or on that 1722 paper. Okay. And if I wanted that kind of texture and detail, I may not use that hipstamatic, but again, that's what I like about the app is what it does to the kind of softness around the subject, and what it lends to the emotional impact of the photo. If I could, I used a lens on this hipstamatic that was called Tinto. Tinto, I think 1880. And when I first started shooting a lot with the hipstamatic, this was the lens that I used. But it had such a little kind of sweet spot, if you will, for focus. It was very small. So I would often make pictures and what I wanted to be in focus was not in focus. Okay. And then plus with that app itself, there maybe are 4 or 5 different combinations of texture along the edges and where that sweet spot might hit. And I was getting just way too many out of focus pictures that were not satisfying to me. So I really love that John S. lens that is in that hipstamatic pack. And I use either the type D film, which is the black, or the type C film, which is the color. Okay. For my hipstamatic images. So this was with the Tinto, and this is with the John S. lens. So you can see there's a much larger area of sharpness around the subject than in this photo. Does that make sense? But I sure do like using this. Okay, and then the last group of pictures I wanted to share with you is from the Lone Star Sundance. Okay, it's a Native American ceremony, Lakota, that takes place north of Austin each year. I think it's been happening about 25, 26 years. And I was lucky enough to have been at the first one. I think through the years, I've maybe missed 3. And it's just an incredibly beautiful ceremony done in traditional Lakota methods. Okay. And this is Chief Leonard Crow Dog, on day 1 of the ceremony in front of the Tree of Life looking east. And, I just feel very, very blessed that I've been able to make some photographs around the ceremony. The chiefs, have been kind of dedicated to preserving the traditional ways, okay, of the process. And so that's where I've kind of come in, and I've just through maybe sheer patience in a period of time, people have trust me, I think, and allow me to be around with a camera and make pictures. Okay, so this is Leonard Crow Dog, Chief Leonard Crow Dog, and his First Lady, Joanna.
So Steve, since there were questions about the size of the images, the Leonard and Joanne image you were just showing, that this ended up being part of an exhibition of your work, a retrospective exhibition, as I recall. And do you remember what size this image was?
Yes, it was 16 by 16. Okay. And it's from a cell phone image as well. And, if I need something larger, I go to a lab to do that. Like my printer will do 17 by 22 paper. Okay. And that's the size that I'm have access to. But if I need something bigger, I would have to send it off to a lab. Okay. So this was 16 by 16 and then matted with about 2 or 3 inches of white mat board around it on each side. And I think it was in a square frame for the recent exhibition.
So where was the exhibition?
Here at Odessa College, it was it was named 37 years, the number of years that I've been here at Odessa College. And it's a collection of work that I made since arriving at Odessa College in 1984. So I showed like 4 or 5 bodies of work, including the flora, the someone's in the garden, some palladium prints, the Sundance images that you see here, and also some industrial yards, which was my first project after moving to Odessa, photographing in Odessa light, very, very different than Ohio light. And it was going with the community was going through a bust at that time, and the empty or stacked yards with equipment and trucks and different pipes and all that. It was just fascinating to photograph. And so let's see, a year and a half ago, I was really surprised and very, very fortunate that we were processing a new gallery, and they named the gallery here on campus the Phillips Goff Gallery. And what an honor, what a humbling honor that is. Phillips was an art professor. He's passed away this past year, and naming the gallery space after an art professor and myself. So I'm really grateful, really happy, really humbled that they named the gallery space after me. And it's a beautiful space, okay? So if you have some artwork, okay, Gwen Davies is now in charge of that space. So, and I have a little say too, just a little bit. So I'm happy about that. So here's, really love this photo too. There was a big storm coming, and it was off to the left there. I could see the storm coming for hours. Well, not hours, okay. But I wanted to try to capture some lightning around the tree, and also this memorial for Chief Brad, who had passed away the previous year. And this was set up in his honor. And so I'm probably 12 feet away from the let's see, ceremony and the photograph that you see in the foreground. And I was waiting, and I would open the shutter and wait for lightning to happen. And then I'd close the shutter. So I was in the B position and made maybe a half a dozen or 8 photographs. And then this happened, okay? And it was like almost immediately, I knew it was really special, and how it filled the area of the sky. And I also like how in the upper right-hand corner, the lightning almost looks like a heart, okay, that's coming down to Chief Brad in the arbor of the Native American ceremony. And I'm definitely afraid of lightning, okay? This was really scary for me. Okay. And in Nipi, okay, Sweat Lodge. One of the chiefs leading the tree that was just harvested and bringing it into the arbor as the tree of life. It's a fascinating ceremony, and I'm really grateful to have been able to be a helper, to participate. The people that I've met here are like brothers and sisters to me. Just absolutely love. Okay, this experience. Oops. Yeah, no photography. And I've used a variety of cameras on this because I was doing film, a little bit the first few years of the dance, and now it's digital. Some are cell phones. I've used panorama cameras and Diana cameras with film. This is cell phone, and I'd love to photograph everybody like this that comes for the dances. The ceremony itself is incredibly beautiful, but and I don't always get the photograph, and I understand that, and that's okay. I think it was 2006 that Leonard Crow Dog, as we met in the morning to go harvest the tree, said that Steve was going to make photographs, during this Sundance. And so that was the first time, that I actually had access to the ceremony where I went inside the arbor, inside the circle, magic circle, and got the photograph. And, there are other times, so I'll go and maybe not know if I'm going to get the photograph or not. And that's okay. There's just some things that I won't get the photograph. And but being able to capture the people that are participating in this ceremony is so important to me to do. Okay, I love the people that I've met there, and I love the ceremony also. Very simplistic, okay, and very loving in so many different ways. So. I imagine there's some questions around this. Yes.
Steve, so you showed us an image of Chief Crow Dog and Joanne earlier.
Yes.
And so he came to the ceremony for all the years it's been in existence, and said a lot of things over the years. But so are you going to do another book project with these Sundance images, or the images of Leonard?
Yes, we've been working on that. We kind of initially started with the Sundance theme, what the Sundance is, what it looks like, who participates, that type of thing. And then Leonard had a stroke, Chief Crow Dog had a stroke, and he was not in really good health. And he passed away this past June. And so our attention now has kind of turned a little bit, and we want to do a book that celebrates Leonard and what he's meant to the Lakota community, throughout the years. He's considered the chief of chiefs, a medicine man, and so on. And we would like to put together a book of images, okay, of Chief Crow Dog, and some work that I've done, and other photographers. Okay, there'll be a few other, some other photographers involved as well, Beckwith and Rick, and a few folks who have made pictures there of the chief. And we're going to do that to honor Crow Dog in his memory. And that is also close to being done. We're close to the final draft of that, and then we're going to approach some publishers and hopefully get this published. Any other questions about the Sundance?
Yeah, can we open this up for questions and then maybe conclude the evening, Steve, with some comments from you about sort of your plans for the future?
Okay.
If I may, I'd like to say something. This is Richard Orton. This is wonderful as this has been, this wonderful presentation. There's one, and to me at least, major omission, and that is a reference to the longevity of Steve Goff in the Texas Photographic Society.
Yeah.
Can you remember how many years you have been on the board and an officer in this organization?
92. Since
That
92.
sounds about right to me.
30,
I
30
just
years.
wanted to make that clear. This man he's a wonderful photographer, but he has done a huge amount for this organization. I think we should recognize that.
Oh, thank you, Richard. I know you were involved with some of the early things at TPS as well. You know,
But I didn't begin to have the longevity that you have, sir.
okay. All right. Well, you know, I love teaching. I love photography. I love meeting people, and I've worked with some really great people, you know, at TPS. You know, the executive directors that I've worked with, Clark Evans, D. Clark Evans, Amy George, Sarah Sudoff, Susan Edgley, and now Ann, you know, have been great leaders for the organization. And I've met some incredible people, and that keeps me going. Okay, I like that. I feed off of that a great deal. And but thank you for saying so. You know, I did kind of initiate some of the workshops for TPS. I've got to meet some incredible photographers, Marielle and Mark. Let's see, Kevin Bubinski, okay, as another person I've met, and Jack Spencer, just a number of people that we've brought in to do workshops or writings about all of that. That's been great fun to do. So
Just one suggestion, and this is just a suggestion. Hopefully
Okay.
you will find some time to write a short history of the Texas Photographic Society.
right.
You're the one who could do it.
Well, some of you are going to know the name Julianne Newton. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I spoke with Julianne this week, as a matter of fact, and I got a really great document about the early days of TPS. So like from 1982 to 84, there was the Austin Photographic Society, or the
Yes.
Austin Co-op. And then those folks kind of evolved into the Texas Photographic Society
Yes.
in 1984. And Roy Flukinger, Rick Williams, A.V.
Bill
Bonar,
Kennedy.
yeah, Bill Kennedy. They wrote up the articles for incorporating TPS as a nonprofit, and that's TPS as we know it today. And yeah, there's quite a few names that I recognize on the list that Julianne provided for me. So I've got some early stuff, and we've been saving and putting away some of the newer things, the contact sheets that we've done, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, there will be a history about TPS.
Yes.
Because we're fast approaching the 40th anniversary. So yeah, that seems like it might be a time to celebrate that.
Yep. Anything else? Anybody have any questions or any other comments?
So
Steve, or you?
Steve, let's see. So you've showed us a lot of your personal projects. I guess we don't have time to go into a lot of detail, but you've done some commercial work too, as I recall.
Right.
Anything to add about that?
Some architecture work, corporate headshots, that type of thing. We do quite a bit of that and love that. And I want to continue doing some of that. Okay, as I'm in retirement now, I want to continue doing some freelance work. I want to continue on my artwork. The Flora Domestica that you saw, the Sundance, those are ongoing projects, okay? The things that won't go away, okay? The Sundance happens once a year, okay? And I'll be doing it for as long as I can walk, okay? I'll be going and participating in that. So, you know, I want to continue with my artwork. And as I mentioned, the two books that I want to finish, that now that I have the time, Beckwith and I live in an 83-year-old home. There's always things to do at home and take care of. And, I still want to learn. I'll never stop learning and doing things around photography. I've signed up. I'm going to Big Bend to take a night workshop at the end of this month. So I get to be a student. Okay. I get to be a student and learn more about night photography. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, life is good. Life is good. So.
Any other questions before we move towards the end? Thank you, Steve. Anything else from you, Ann?
No, I just want to thank everybody for participating, for your support of TPS. And, we were thrilled to have Steve do this. And we thought, in honor of his retirement and his decades of tireless work for TPS, we thought it was just a great thing to do.
3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled y'all all could join us. So we may switch these to, we've been doing these on first Fridays every other month, but we're hearing from some folks that an awful lot of communities do things on first Fridays. So we may shift it to the second Friday just to we even have some board members who couldn't make it tonight because they had first Friday commitments. So, but we'll keep you posted. And thank y'all, all of y'all, for y'all's support and for spending your Friday night with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
And anything else?
Question, Steve. One light question. Are you going to be teaching any workshops in the future?
Well, I hope so. Yes, I'd like to do that. As I learn more about night photography, I'd like to do something with some people on night photography. Beckwith and I have been doing workshops on cell phone, how to take advantage of all that apps and bits and pieces of cell phone photography for both Android and iPhones. We've been doing that for a while. We did a workshop in Abilene right prior to the TPS 30 show, and that was a lot of fun. So yes.
Why were we there?
We had a show of the flora photographs, and during that exhibition, we did a workshop for the community. So that was a lot of fun. And yes, we'll be doing more. I'm going to do some here in Odessa through the continuing ed department at the college, and yeah, still keep my hand in this. I want to teach a credit class, some non-credit stuff, and stay active. So I just, one other thing, if members of TPS out there, if you have some ideas of programs that you would like to see, okay, or some new initiatives, that type of thing, if you have some talents that you would like to maybe bring to our board or something of that nature, don't hesitate to get in contact with me or Ann, and we'd love to have some help supporting and promoting the program and opening up new things for TPS and our members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, Steve, I think if because I know y'all are scattered all over the place, these faces I'm looking at. So if you have a great venue in your town, let me know about it, because we're really trying to make sure we travel our shows to as many locations as we can logistically do.
Right.
And so I know y'all are scattered all over. So if you've got a great venue in your town that you think we ought to bring a show to, Steve and I have already gotten pretty good at, loading up the van or the Subaru or the rental van and trucking them around the state. So, and elsewhere. So let us know that, and be in touch. I think that's what you're saying, Steve.
Yep. Be in touch with us. Let us know how we can better serve you, provide more programs and opportunities. Okay. Because we're all going to benefit from that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes,
Thank you,
thanks.
Ann.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Beckwith.
Y'all know how to get a hold of me. Okay. So I'm really grateful, and nice to see you, and thanks for taking time out to be with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steve.
Great, Steve.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. It was cool.
Terrific.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Jamie. Yeah, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, thank y'all.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Wow, we have 40 some. Okay. Go. Very cool.